What's going on, guys? Bob Roche from RocheTechnology.com here with my full review for you of the OKiT FM Transmitter for your iPhone and, well, really any of your 30-pin iPod devices. This is sponsored by FocalPrice.com, so be sure to check the link out down there in the description. They have tons of different accessories, whether they're cases or FM transmitters or pretty much anything in between. Go ahead and click that link down there to find something for you. In my typical review fashion, I've constructed a pros and a cons list for this product, so let's just go ahead and jump right in with the pros. The first pro I have is that, well, the thing just works. I can plug this in, and I've never had a single issue on any song, any device. I plugged in my 160 gigabyte iPod Classic to this. I plugged in my iPhone. I've even used this auxiliary in, which I'll get a little bit more into later. And the thing just works. It's never crapped out on me, and it's always pulled through, so that's always a good thing. The second pro I have is that it has some pretty decent sound quality. Now, with any FM transmitter, you're probably going to get some sort of interference depending on where you're driving. If it's a big city, you're going to have all kinds of waves floating through the air. I really don't know too much about that stuff, but there were definitely spots where this thing sounded just fine, and there's other spots where the static almost got so bad I'd have to change the station. So overall, I would say that it did have some pretty good quality to it. A little bit quiet at times. I will get into that in a little bit, but overall, not too much static and pretty decent sound. The next pro I have of this guy is that you can customize the frequency to a pretty wide variety of, well, frequencies. This guy right here, you really can't see it, but this is actually a button. There's actually two of them on here. There's an up and a down, which this screen actually does light up when this is plugged in, and it gives you the actual frequency number here. But you can change this to, say 106 point something, or 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, all the way from like the 90s, I think, up to like 108, 109. So you have a ton of different frequencies that you can use. So it's definitely great. So if you're on one frequency and it starts to, get really choppy or starts to get really staticky, very easy to just hit this maybe once or twice, the next one, tune your car, and you're good to go. The next pro is that this actually holds the iPhone pretty securely in place. So I'll go ahead and hit this little button right down here that says open, and that actually opens that up. I'll go ahead and show that to you guys again. And there you go. So now I'll go ahead and place the iPhone in here. And I will say, which is, I'll point out another pro right off the bat, that this will work if you have a case on your iPhone. So whether it's just a very thin case or whether it's a big bulky case, I mean, you have that much room on either side. And most cases fit within that. You're looking at a pretty insane case if it does not fit. So while you do have that little bit of gap on each side, it's very simple to just close those in. And now your iPhone is actually pretty securely tucked in there. So maybe if you take, like a sharp turn or you have to hit your brakes suddenly, your phone's not going to go flying off into your dashboard and down below and burn. It'll be just fine. The next pro is that it packs an auxiliary in, which it does come with a very little speaker cable, just like, a standard 3.5mm headphone jack that it goes and plugs into here, and say, for example, you have just a third-party MP3 player or just something that does not have a 30-pin dock connector, you can plug it in there and transmit that sound through your car speakers. Now, one of my favorite features about this transmitter is that on this side it actually packs a USB port. Now, while you can't actually transmit audio through that, this will charge another device. So say, for example, I have my iPhone here and it's just charged and doing its thing. If someone else has a phone and it's dying, as long as you have a USB cable to charge it, you can actually charge a phone with this. And like I said, it'll charge this phone, so it'll actually charge both at the same time. So maybe you want to play music on this one and have one charging, or maybe they have a great song, you can actually switch them and both your phones are still being charged. Now, obviously, it doesn't have to be an iPhone. It could be any phone that can charge with a USB charging cable, or really any USB accessory. I believe this is just, as much as a standard USB port in terms of current, but that I really have no idea about. But it will charge a phone without issues. And the last pro I have is that this will actually charge your iPhone while it's being used, while this is plugged into your car, whether you have maps up or you're just listening to your music, or I really don't recommend this, but maybe just someone in the passenger seat watching a video of some kind, but it will charge your iPhone, so really there's no worries there. Maps is a huge battery drain, but if you have this plugged in, then Maps is really no problem. And actually what I'm going to do for you guys is show you Maps in action with this thing, because that's actually the thing I found most useful, was being able to navigate with Maps, not having to worry about battery drain, not having to worry about, having this on my lap and trying to drive. Just right here, just, down below somewhere around my dashboard. It was very convenient. So I'll go ahead and just run that for you now. So here we are in my car, and here's the FM transmitter. This is how I have it set up in my car. So I'll go ahead and zoom in, and hopefully you guys can see this a little bit better. So here we actually have, the FM transmitter, and here's the trusty iPhone. We're simply just gonna, we're gonna widen this first by hitting that button. As you can see, it kind of just pops out, and hopefully my arm isn't too much in the camera here. But it will do that, and it docks just fine. And there you go. So that's actually how my iPhone is set up in my car. Now I will say the only thing that's not too great about this setup is that this arm is actually kind of short for my liking. If it were about 2 or 3 inches longer, then I could actually have it like kind of wrapped up through here. and then have the iPhone dock like right around this area so I could have everything like right here by my heating controls here. But because this arm is as short as it is, this is really the best setup I can come up with, which really isn't bad because, I mean, it's still like facing towards me and it's, you know, out of the range of like, you know, shifting and everything. So this really is not a bad spot to have it, but I would like to have it up here. So if this arm was a little bit longer, that would actually work out much better. But I'll actually go ahead and switch on the car now. Not all the way, just, you know, the electronic part. And as you can see, the phone actually started charging. So it's actually charging my phone right now, which is very nice. So let's go ahead and we'll just sort of play some music. But right now I have the frequency set to 106.1, so I'll go ahead and I will turn my radio to 106.1. Not sure if you can see that in the shot or not, but you guys can trust me. So we'll go ahead and turn that up a little bit. So the more I turn it up, you can actually probably hear that static, which is normal, but I believe if we go to, like, say, a different station, then I really don't think it'll matter much. So this one might be a little bit less, so we'll actually go with this one. So that's 105.9, just, you know, some random numbers here. So let's go ahead and we'll just play a podcast. I don't want to play much music just because of copyright and stuff. But Twitch should be okay to play. But of course, you know, I'll give credit in the description.
It's time for Twit This Week in Tech.
And turn that down. And what's nice about this podcast app is the audio will play even if the display is off.
That's for sure.
Even though it was a video podcast.
Samsung, Apple, Facebook, Google,
so as you guys can hear, the audio does sound pretty darn good. I'm going to turn this down just for the purpose of, you know, the review. But the audio does come through pretty good. It is a little bit quiet. I have to have my stereo up on the car actually kind of high just to be able to hear it. But I tend to listen to my music pretty loud because, you know, I'm into like rock and metal and things like that. And I love my loud music. I mean, who doesn't? Like I just said, it's not the loudest, but it is pretty good. And the more you turn it up, the more of that little static noise you do hear. That depends probably on the station and your location and everything like that. But overall, I have to say the audio quality really is not bad here at all. I was actually expecting much worse. But I've driven this thing around for, you know, a pretty decent amount. I've gone to work a couple times this week. I've just gone cruising. And I've had absolutely no issues with this. No weird flickers in the audio. Nothing like that. Now another area where this guy really shines is with iOS 6 navigation. So the turn-by-turn navigation, as you guys know, is a huge battery drain, not just on the iPhone, but on pretty much any phone. I mean, it's always having to update your location, it's always using that GPS chip, so it really kills your battery. Now with this thing charging your iPhone, as well as the actual audio from the phone coming through my speakers, as well as the ability to listen to my music while all that's going on, is just absolutely great. So I just want to go ahead and demonstrate that to you guys really quick here. So I'm going to talk to Siri and have her find me some food. I'm very hungry.
I found 15 restaurants. 9 of them are fairly close to you.
So Siri found me some food. I'll go ahead and zoom into this for you guys. Hopefully you guys can read it. I'm not sure how this is going to come out in the end. But any random restaurant, I'll just go to the first one here. Honestly, I'm not even really sure where that is. But there we go. There's that. And I will have her take me there. And we'll go ahead and we'll start the navigation.
Starting route to Raymond Management Company. Head southwest on West 10th Street.
So as you can hear, that actually came through my car's audio rather than just the iPhone. So it's much louder. And I'll go ahead and I'll play my music here. So I'll go into podcasts and we'll just keep Twit going. So as you can hear, Twit is coming through my system and it sounds just great. So I'll go ahead and do a little bit of driving and we'll hear Siri.
music too, or is it all? I mean, what?
DJ Mike Rome is joining us for this tour, and I'm going to jam with him on stage. He's doing a 40-minute set, and I'll be playing drums, so it'll be a weird DJ drum mashup. But yeah,
I'm sorry in advance for any camera shake. I'm driving
Turn
as
right
slow as I
onto
can.
Westlake Road, then turn left onto Harmony Drive.
So there's that. And I'm not going to do too much more driving because you guys get the picture, and frankly, I don't want my camera to fall. So there you guys go. There's just a quick demonstration of how well the FM transmitter works. My audio is still coming through crystal clear. Navigation of Siri's voice is actually on my car system rather than just the iPhone. And to put that cherry right on top of the cake, it's actually charging my phone as well. So the navigation feature, which uses tons of battery, is actually not using any. So as you can hopefully tell, having this is definitely a huge advantage in my car. It may not have fit the best in my car. I would have liked to see this be a little bit longer to allow for some more customizable angles. But other than that, I definitely have to say this thing is overall very useful. Now with every product, I have to say that there is at least one con, and that is true with this. This thing really does not have the best build quality. I'll go ahead and take this out to give you some examples. As you can see right here, this I believe is just like a sticker. I never peeled it or anything. but it did come like that, so the sticker here is starting to bubble. The other thing I noticed was this 30-pin dock connector. Well, I never had a single issue with it, and it does work just fine. I did notice that it is freely moving, if you can see that. I'll try to zoom in on this a little bit more for you guys, but it is free to move around. Whether that's, you know, a bad build quality or maybe to just be able to like slide up and make room for like a bigger case around your phone, I'm really not sure if that's meant to do that or not. But regardless, I never had any issues with it, but I did have to, you know, keep in mind to be kind of careful when connecting my phone to this. But like I said, I never experienced any issues, any bad sound quality or anything like that. So that is something to keep in mind. But overall, I would have to say that it's a con, just because I really don't think it should be doing that. And with every FM transmitter, I'm sure you're going to experience some iffy quality at times. Now, like I said, it was highly dependent on where I was driving. Most streets, it was actually just fine. The audio did tend to be a little bit quiet. So if I was listening to like a podcast, I'd have to turn my car up relatively loud. And I believe that's where most of the static was coming from, not really the FM transmitter itself. But if you like to listen to your music loud, or, you know, depending on what you're listening to, if it's not normalized and it's kind of quieter than the rest of your tracks, you will have to turn your car up pretty loud to be able to hear it, because while this is docked, the iPhone does not have its own like volume control while it's docked. So just the way that is, maybe that could be different with using the auxiliary in, or maybe an older iPod instead. That way it will have its own independent volume control. But regardless, overall the sound quality was pretty good. But, you know, being an FM transmitter, I'm sure you can just naturally expect it to have some sort of interference from time to time. But overall, I have to say this is a pretty solid product. And for most FM transmitters, I've usually typically seen a price range around, you know, 20 to 40 bucks. This thing comes in at just under $18 from focalprice.com. So if you're looking for something that's going to produce some awesome sound quality, that's going to, you know, will have its own independent volume control, then maybe this will not be for you. But if you're someone like me that, you know, their car speakers aren't that great anyway, you just need something that can, you know, play your podcast without having to burn them onto a CD or something, then this is a great solution for you. Like I said, sometimes it may be a little bit quiet, but if you don't mind a little bit of static, then this really is a very good solution for you, especially at under $20. But like I said, if you're an audiophile and you can't stand that little bit of hissing in the back, then I really don't recommend this. And I actually probably can't even recommend any FM transmitter without breaking the bank. And with that said, that's all I have to say for the OKiT FM transmitter for the iPhone and iPod and, you know, anything that has a headphone jack, really. I'm at CBUKit on Twitter. Also be sure to check out RocheTechnology.com and at RocheTechnology on Twitter. Like I said earlier, be sure to check out FocalPrice.com. Be sure to let me know what you think of this product. Be sure to like this video. And finally, thank you guys for watching.